Guys, welcome back here in Dallas, Texas. I've interviewed some of the world-class leaders in all different industries, but I've never had the privilege of interviewing one of the best AI local SEO experts that we've ever met. I know firsthand from pain because one of our companies spent six figures with, should I mention his name? I guess so. I'm not hating. It's okay, so we'll mention the name. Neil Patel, okay? I spent six figures on hired him to do our SEO. Frankly speaking, didn't really get much out of it. And I did one session with you, and my mind was blown. Okay, so I had to bring you on the podcast. Here we are. Ari, welcome to America from Canada, and welcome to our show, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I've been in the game for a while. It used to be the SEO was like, don't have the patience for it. It was not on the top of like business's mind. They're just like, no, ads, sales now. They didn't have the patience for it. AI has changed the game. Where now there's not SEO, there's AI SEO. And I'm looking at your clients' results and they're insane. I mean, we're talking about a law firm that had one location and just from your SEO alone, went from one location to three fully booked out locations. We're talking about you servicing law firms that no longer have to spend any money on ads and they're totally fully booked out. And this is not something that was happening years ago. This is new, man. I mean, it looks like AI has changed, totally changed the marketing game here with SEO. Give us a little insight, man. You're the go-to expert on this.
For sure, man. And first of all, thanks for the introduction. I think you're inflating my ego too much. Just for anyone listening, none of you probably know me because I don't really have much of an online presence, but hopefully that'll change after this. So I'm the owner of Small Marketing based out of Vancouver, Canada. And in the last decade or so, we've worked with all types of businesses with a specialty in law firms and in particular with the SEO side of things. And so what we're noticing now is that a lot of things are changing with AI, not just in terms of like the SEO, but even just the way that people act. Back in the day, it was just like you go to Google, you just type in like personal injury lawyer Dallas, for example. Nowadays, people are having full out conversations with ChatGPT and like these AI tools. And it's not just who's the best personal injury lawyer in Dallas. It's just like, hey, I got into a car accident, my back is hurting. What do I do? What are the next steps? And they're getting these recommendations from AI. It's like, you should go see a doctor. You should probably go and get in touch with a personal injury lawyer. Yeah. By the way, here's a list of like the top 3 personal injury lawyers near you because ChatGPT knows where you live. They're spying on you. They know everything about you, right?
I know.
And so with this shift, it's like, it's not just about who's showing up on Google, right? It's like, are you also showing up in the AI and in these like new search terms and everything that are coming up? So that's the newest trend.
Okay. I've given lectures on AI. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're talking about search results from ChatGPT. If you study history, every time there's a major thing, such as the Industrial Revolution, the invention of cars, the invention of internet, crypto, AI, there's something called the first mover's advantage. So, for example, when the internet came out, I'm a little older than you, so you might not remember this. When the internet first came out in the 90s, I remember there was a very famous news reporter and many reporters who were on like Good Morning shows. They were laughing about the internet. And they were saying, yeah, this is very slow. It's a fad. It's not going to work out. And that was the kind of like a big opinion back then. And that was a big opinion of crypto, of social media. When cars were first invented, people didn't step foot in it. They said that thing's going to kill me. When cameras were first invented, people would go like this in the shape of a cross, because they thought the cameras took a piece of their soul. Now everyone and their mother's got 3 of them, right, in their pocket, right? So the first movers, so what happens is anytime anything new comes, most people are scared. They look from the sidelines. And then very few people take advantage. Then it gets mass adoption. But those people the first movers, they crush it. So in social media, the Zuckerbergs, and AI, you have Sam Altman, and then you have the early Bitcoin people. All these people crushed it, right? And so now what you're helping people do is get on the top of search results. I mean, everyone's still talking about Google, but you're helping people get on the top search results of like ChatGPT and stuff, which is insane because even me, I'd like to think like with it, and like, a pretty active marketer, to be honest with you, the thought didn't cross my mind, but it's genius. You know what I mean? So how much like how much is this kind of like the wild, wild west right now as far as opportunity, as far as ranking in programs like ChatGPT?
There's definitely still a lot of opportunities out there. The whole ChatGPT world and AI SEO and everything, it's still fairly new, you know, and for the most part, especially with law firms, most law firms have not tapped into this market specifically, right? They're usually a bit more reluctant to jump on new fads and trends and everything, but and I don't blame them. I'm the same way. I remember when this whole ChatGPT thing came out, I was not one of the first people to use it. I was like, oh, that's cool, just, you know, some new trend, and young people are using it, you know, not that I'm that old, but, you know. And it wasn't until like a few months later when I got my first lead from ChatGPT, because I track where my leads come from, and it said referral source ChatGPT. And I was like, you can make money from this? I was like, that's when that kind of light bulb clicked in my head, and I was like, this is amazing. And so from there, the kind of the journey started, researching how do I tap into this? How do I like manipulate these results and try to push myself and get more and more of these? And so as I started uncovering that, I was like, well, let me start doing this for my clients too, right? And next thing you know, we start implementing this, understanding how do these chat, engines work, these LLMs, the language learning models, and what exactly is the reference point? Like, how do they know who's good and who's bad? And like, what's the whole story behind it? And from there, we just jumped on it.
Well, what's your secret, man? Like you're getting these people. I saw kind of your back end and some of these crazy results you're getting people, you know, getting them just endless clients. They don't have to spend any money on ads. They're totally fully booked out. They're able to do what they do best and outsource to us, because these lawyers didn't become lawyers to become marketers. They became lawyers to do law stuff. And so they really want to do what they do best and outsource the rest. It's just hard for them to find someone who can do it. So what makes you like literally one of the best at this? What's your secret, if you're allowed to say?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, thank you for the compliments.
Yeah. I mean, it's just what it is. It's just the looking at the facts, looking at the case studies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we definitely put in the reps. We've got tons of case studies, tons of clients that we work with. You know, up to date, I think we have around, I want to say close to about 100 clients that are, you know, in some way or form actively working with our agency at any given time. And just being able to put in so much practice. You know, once I get all these techniques, because I've spent well over $100,000 on trainings in the last few years, within, you know, masterminds, courses, and whatever it may be, just trying to understand like what's out there. And it's one thing to take the theory that people want to teach you in a course, and it's another to be able to implement it multiple times in different markets, different parts of the North America, and in different industries, you know. And so what may work for like an employment lawyer in like New Jersey is not necessarily going to work for like a personal injury lawyer in Dallas, right? But once you put enough reps, which we've done, you can try to figure out what the difference is. So more than anything, I would just say the experience.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man. I mean, I think that people who, well, you know, to be honest with you, you're being a little humble, because I mean, I consider myself a talent scout. One thing I noticed about you, and I've had clients like this in the past, and they crush it. It's the first thing I learned when I got into this industry is two things. The difference between the ones who make it and the ones who don't is size of action you take and speed of implementation. You know, you were just talking to me outside about you helping your father-in-law from scratch, who was doing a meal prep company, built his website and got like ads got like some marketing going, and within, I think, did you say 5 days or 5 weeks?
It was 3 weeks.
Within 3 weeks, went from idea to now 5,000 a month.
Around there, yeah.
Right, yeah. And that so you know, you implement quickly, and not only quickly but high quality. I remember, you know, it's funny. I've been approached for years from SEO dudes. There's like, hey, dude, let's do some SEO. I said, how long will it take to? And traditionally, this is what they always told me, and I think this is what it was. They said 1 year, and I was just like, and I'll admit, I just didn't have like the patience, or because, you know, the other things we were doing were a lot quicker, and I just didn't have the foresight or da. But now, because of AI, you're getting people right on the top within 90 days or less.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane, and you guarantee that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, what? I feel like you have. I understand there's some secrets you can't share, but like, you're using AI.
Yeah.
You are a, you know, cerebral, you know, intelligent, quick implementer. I think that's a big part of your secret. But like, you're using basically the top-notch AI tools that you have at your disposal to make these things happen.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. In the past, it used to take a year or more to get these types of results. But even back then, there was always shortcuts and secrets and tricks and things that people would do. And for full reference, because a lot of, very traditional, like old school type of SEO folks might look at this and be like, you can't rank, you can't guarantee SEO, you can't rank people, blah, blah. And I always get that type of like feedback, like, you can't have guarantees in SEO. It's like, well, I do, like I do it. So it's like, I do it, and I don't back down from it. But the thing is, like, even back in the day, I think part of like the secret, quote unquote, is that sometimes you have to dabble in like some new trends that which, could be considered like gray hat or black hat or these types of things. But at the same time, try to keep people safe because, especially with the type of clientele I work with, we can't have any risks. And so one of the things that we do other than the basics, right, and maybe I'll touch on the basics first, is just like once you do your competitor research and you figured out like why is Google and ChatGPT and Gemini and all these other platforms rewarding your competition instead of you, like why are they number one and you're like number 17, like what's the big deal, like what's missing? Once you fill in those gaps, sometimes you can just top it up with a little bit of something extra. So one of the things we do, for example, is like our human flow program, which is I guess you would call it click-through rate manipulation, right? And for those who don't know what click-through rate manipulation is, it's a metric.
Click-through rate manipulation.
Yeah, so click-through rate itself as a metric, it's like out of 100 people that search for, personal injury lawyer Dallas, from those 100 people, how many of them are actually going to be clicking on your business as opposed to your competitor? So if from those 100 people, 10 people click on like the number one spot, right, then that person has a 10% click-through rate. And if the second place has, 8% and then maybe 7% on the third place and so on and so forth, then it just drops down. And so because it's such an important metric, Google tries to protect it and try to avoid people manipulating this. But there are some ways to do it. And this is one of the things that we do with our human flow, where it's like we just try to send real human traffic directed to your business, whether it's through your website or your business profile in the maps or whatever it may be, to try and boost this up just a tiny, tiny bit. So that we can take you from that 7% to like a 9 or like from a 9 to an 11. And it's such a powerful metric that even in the early days, this is how we're able to get results within, literally 2 months or 3 months instead of 8 to 12 months, which other people traditionally do.
Okay, if I was to give an analogy, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like what you're doing is like there's a bunch of people, for example, trying to get a job, and they're interviewing. And so maybe they go through 100 interviews, and they're not really getting past the first interview. So what you're doing is you're like, what these companies are hiring, what they're looking for. So now you prep these guys, like, okay, listen, they're looking for someone. First of all, you're not dressed professionally. So let's change that. They're looking for someone who dresses professionally. They're looking for someone who has this kind of experience on their resume that's missing from your resume. They're looking for someone with no gaps in the resume. Let's get rid of your gaps. They're looking for A, B, C, D, which you're missing. We're going to install that. Once we install that, it's like an energetic thing. They see what they're looking for. Boom. Now you get to the next level. It seems like that's what you're doing for people's websites and stuff like that. You know what the algorithm is looking for, and it's missing. You install that quickly via AI, and all of a sudden, you meet their criteria, so you rank.
Absolutely. And I genuinely believe that there really isn't any secrets in marketing. Although people love to spin up their own breakthroughs and pretend like they have these secrets to try and take money from people. But in reality, it's like the basics and the foundation is the most important part of SEO. Right. And it's like a lot of the times you will get these gurus and these people who will charge you let's 6 figures per month or whatever it is. And you go to them and they will usually outsource their work and then they don't even get the basics done properly. And so usually what we do is, because we have, great systems in place and we have using AI tools to just make sure that we get everything checked off, is like we find all these gaps and we say sometimes there's technical errors like that your agency wouldn't even consider. And we find these and we start to fix them and we start to work on it. And we see within such a minuscule type of detail, like for example, if you got 2 businesses, one of them might have different types of levels of detail on their Google business profile. So one of them might have like a accessible like bathroom button ticked off, or like women owned or minority owned or whatever it is, and the other one doesn't. If you're in a very, very tight race where you both have like a similar level of authority, similar level of reviews, you both been doing similar time. Sometimes just those tiny little ticks can make enough of a difference to boost you up from like second place to first place. And so just focusing on those types of foundations definitely goes a long way.
It's interesting. People for years have they hire a lot of the wrong agencies, and they get, well, no, I tried SEO. No, it didn't work. I tried it. I hired this guy. It's not that SEO didn't work. You hired the wrong person. And like, you said at the beginning of this interview, you said, look, you don't really have a lot of content out there. You're not like a big guru. I actually think that's a huge plus. And for me, if I was teaching someone like to hire an agency, for me, that would be the click-through rate manipulation. Like, okay, are they this big guru? Because if they're this big guru, I know that's very time-consuming. And I know that kind of guru model where it's they kind of just leverage their brand and then, like you said, they outsource a lot. But then someone like yourself who's very hands-on, and so that's one of the main reasons that your clients get so much results and they stick with you for years. I mean, your retention rate's insane. It's 90%, where the industry average is 30. I mean, I think that says it all right there. You're very good on camera, though. So I will ask you, what made you make this conscious decision of, you know what, I'm just going to let the work speak for itself. I'm not going to go be some SEO celebrity. I'm just going to let the work speak for itself. How did that conversation go in your head?
Yeah, not a lot of people know about this about me, but I actually used to be a civil engineer. That's what I went to school for.
Okay.
Yeah, and I used to work in a government job as an engineer while simultaneously like running my SEO agency.
Yeah.
It worked out because I'm great at making systems and assigning tasks to people and everything.
Okay.
And because of my background and just the way my brain is wired, I just love engineering and just being deep in the numbers, trying to do the testing myself, figuring out the latest trends and everything. And so I was just so focused on getting results and trying to see like what's actually working, doing this testing. It never even crossed my mind that, hey, I should like publish my face on the internet. I mean, for God's sake, my personal Facebook doesn't have a single like picture, a post or like picture.
Yeah.
even these things I'm trying to change now. And it wasn't until recently where I realized, like, after having conversations, people are like, oh, we're in a trust recession.
Yeah, we are.
You can even show your case studies in your portfolio and it's still not enough. People want to see your face multiple times and they want to hear you talk and they want to be able to trust you more. And that's when I realized, like, oh, okay, well, it doesn't matter if I've got 100 portfolio case studies on my website showing how I, took this brand from like 0 to 100 within like X amount of weeks or months. Yeah. It's like, now I actually have to share what I know instead of just being like this well-kept secret.
We are in a trust recession. I was in this industry before that came into about. Life was much easier, honestly speaking. But it's also a great opportunity because there is a big trust recession, and for the law firms that you help, when people Google law firms and they show up on the top, that's automatic trust, right? Because there's not going to be like, automatically not going to be like, you see that company that's up, there's automatic trust, click, let's book a call. It's like, that's like putting them on a pedestal. That's like almost the effect of having like a best-selling book or being on like a top podcast or being like on a big stage, being ranked on top. It kind of cuts through that trust recession a little bit. So you probably the conversion rate's higher. If someone was to find you on page 1 or page 2, it's the difference between basically bankruptcy and not. Is it? There was an old SEO joke. What was it? It says, if you want to bury a business, be on page 2. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So man, what? You grew up in Canada, right?
Yes.
In Vancouver.
Yes.
And none of us grew up thinking we're going to do what we do because SEO was not around when we were growing up, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about like how you grew up. Talk to us about your family. Talk to us about kind of what your plans were, how things changed, how you ended up in this SEO world.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of speed run through most of my childhood. I wasn't like a childhood astronaut or like, some like gifted genius. I was just a regular kid. My father owned a mechanic shop.
Oh, cool.
And so being the eldest
And
child.
any cars or?
Yeah, any cars.
Okay.
And so, being the eldest child, naturally I was tasked with everything related to the computer.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
so
funny. Yeah,
I must have been like probably like 14 or 15 when I made his website and tried to figure out how to get customers from like Craigslist and all those fun
that's
little
how
forums.
I got my start too.
Yeah. And so managing things for him was like my first introduction to the business world and doing all the online stuff. And I don't know if that classifies as child labor or just helping your dad. It depends on which audience you ask. Depends on which audience you ask. But it was good, looking back in retrospect. And that was essentially my first start, is just trying to figure out how to make things work for my dad and getting those websites and those customers coming in. Then eventually came in like the introduction to SEO. It's like, okay, well, how do we get more like reviews on Google? How do we get more like clicks on our website and all that type of thing? At some point, I ended up being in college and trying to jump on this whole wave with like drop shipping and like, getting into the world of like making money online while I was studying engineering. So it's like I got like this early start into the agency world as well, where it's like now on one hand I've got homework, and on the other hand I'm like trying to figure out like, okay, like how do I run Facebook ads? Like how do I get organic clicks, and like what type of blogs do I have to write to like sell this like affiliate product, or like to drop ship this like random piece of slime that'll clean your car for like, $6.
Oh God, I remember all that.
Yeah. And so lots of funny things. Then after that, kind of transitioned to like affiliate marketing, started up my own type of like business trying to sell like online car parts and stuff. And it was a lot of research compressed in like a very short time. I was pulling like 14-hour shifts every single day, nonstop. And just from my obsession over it with marketing and like figuring out like how do we make this work? Like, what type of websites are going to convert the best? Do I need a website on WordPress? Do I need Shopify? Do I need BigCommerce? Like all these random things are going through my head. Do I need Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO? Do I need a business profile? Like all these different things that I had to like cram into such a short period of time. And by the time I graduated from engineering, I had already launched this agency where I was like, okay, I'm now helping other people. And I started with like local businesses and everything. And my first client ever, funny enough, was like a local like donair shop in my city.
Oh, wow.
And so we were doing like some social media management and like trying to like generate leads from social media. And then referrals came in, word of mouth, going on online forums, like just communicating with people. Then eventually for my own SEO, I was the number one SEO agency in my area in the city I was living in.
Oh, wow.
And so I was number one for SEO, number one for web design, number one for like digital marketing.
How did that happen?
I was just implementing everything I was learning. So like I mentioned, I was 14 hours a day, nonstop research.
So where's your secret with that? Because you seem, so I've spent hundreds of thousands on mentors, and I've studied the greats, and I get an honor to interview many of them like yourself. This is a repeated pattern I see, is that people who are on the top of their industry like you, they implement quickly and at a high quality. If somebody was to ask you, what do you attribute that to? How are you able to do that? What would you say?
I think it's a personality type. I have an obsession with things that I love, and so SEO is one of those.
You love
things.
SEO.
I love SEO.
Wow,
it's amazing, and so
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that.
Awesome. Because it's like a game. And growing up, I used to play a lot of games when I was a kid, and so it's like you do this thing and then you get a result out of it, and you see the numbers changing in front of your eyes, and then it becomes fun. It's like, oh, okay, I tried this type of like backlink, it's like, I published this type of blog, or I changed this type of setting, and now I see this type of result. So it's always input, output, and you get these types of results coming in. So it's kind of fun when you gamify it like that.
I think that's, this is very telling. I think that a lot of people, in the SEO the world has kind of a bad rep.
Yes.
Because of a lot of the, and again, I'm not hating, but a lot of the Neil Patel kind of things where it's like, it's a guru thing, and that it's they're outsourcing a lot of it. It became this model where they're just kind of getting clients and they're outsourcing the work to frankly underqualified people. And I can see now why your clients are so successful with you, is because you love it, and people are generally good at the things they love. And so it's actually a really beautiful thing, man. I'm very happy for you that, not everyone gets to find something that they love, and not everyone gets to make a living doing what they love. So you're definitely blessed, and I pray that continues. What's the future now? I mean, because this industry is very much different than what it was, a year, 2 years ago. Where are we heading here, and how are you keeping on the cusp of that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Well, now with this whole AI thing coming out with the ChatGPT and Gemini and everything, like I mentioned earlier, it's like the way people search has changed. Where before people would just search in like personal injury lawyer.
Sorry, can I ask you a question? You're actually the perfect person to ask this to. I'm pretty tech illiterate. Okay, I'm not a big tech guy, but big Googler. As a matter of fact, I remember giving it as I was on some like top business podcast. Like, what's one of your top secrets? I'm like, I Google a lot of things. I ask Google a lot of things. I use ChatGPT now for everything, and it hit me. I don't know, a couple of months ago. I was like, like, I don't really use Google anymore. Like, Google's one of the biggest companies in the world. Like, what's going to happen to Google? Do you have any kind of insight on that?
I mean, they've obviously got lots of research and studies that show how much traffic goes into different players, and Google's still at the top. Google is king no matter what.
How much have they lost to like ChatGPT and all that?
I don't know the exact metrics off the top of my head, but ChatGPT is catching up at like an alarming rate, and it's definitely something that you have to be aware of. And like I mentioned, like even myself from my agency, like I get referrals regularly from ChatGPT, and it's like the craziest thing when you see like at the source. And it just mentions ChatGPT, and you're just like, whoa, like that's crazy. It's a big thing. Like you almost get it more than Google these days.
Wow.
And to go back to your question about like how things are changing now, it's like usually people just type in like personal injury lawyer, Google. Just hit the search button. That's it. That's just like there's like a few words, but now things are changing. Like people are researching more. They're looking into things. You also made a comment earlier about like how like you build trust just by being at the top of Google.
Yes.
Like, that's a big thing. But even with lawyers, like just as a side comment, like it's good practice to still like show your face on your like website and like show any awards you've won in your case studies and these types of things, because people like if you have a website that's ranked #1 for like personal injury law or any type of law, and you just got a bunch of stock photos of like fake lawyers and like and they're shaking hands outside the courthouse, they're probably not going to trust you. Just like a side comment on like conversion rate optimization. But definitely put your own photo on there and put your awards and any type of things you've won.
How much business do you estimate that lawyers are losing because they're not taking SEO seriously?
With lawyers, it's a very interesting game, because depending on what industry you're in and what market you're in, one case might be enough to just, keep you set for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? Especially with personal injury. I mean, like if you end up with like some, multi-million-dollar settlement or something, then it's like just that one case coming to you from a ChatGPT type referral, that's a game changer right there. Yeah. So it's not necessarily
they're losing millions.
It can be millions. It can be they could be missing out on millions. It's not a measurement of quantity as opposed to quality in that case. Or it could be something small. Like for example, we work with like a traffic ticket lawyer, which is like lower ticket but higher volume. Yeah. It's like if you're the #1 traffic ticket lawyer in your state for on ChatGPT, it's like they're just going to come pouring in like that.
Yeah. Your pricing model shocked me, because the people who are like the more kind of gurus or whatever, they're charging 10, 20,000 a month. You're getting much better results than they are for your clients, yet you charge a fraction of that. Why is that?
We are severely underpriced. And I think for the last several years, I've just had my head down, and I was just, in the trenches and working on and trying to get results. And I didn't actually raise my prices, and I didn't realize what people around me were doing.
Right.
It wasn't until recently when one of my clients, when they were like signing on, they're like, by the way, one of the other guys I was interviewing, he was going to do it for like, $20K a month. Yeah. And he just asked me, he's like, why is it so low? And I was like, people are charging $20K a month. I was like, I realized I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe I'm not a best-selling author on Amazon or something. I was like, it's probably at the end of the day, it just comes down to positioning. In the past, there was tons of expenses that would come into it, tons of overhead, because there was a huge reliance on like backlinks and like all these other third-party metrics and ways that you had to try and boost things and inflate things. Nowadays, it's not that expensive to do SEO. Right. With the way that AI has now implemented things. Amazing. And like amazing. Even in terms of overhead, like you can have one efficient employee have the same work output as 10 employees in the past using AI tools. You know, and so with that, you know, your overhead comes down, your general costs come down, and naturally your prices also come down. Plus, I don't have a YouTube channel, so that also contributes to my low prices.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I made this morning. I made a $12,000 buying decision in 10 seconds, and the reason I was able to make that decision in 10 seconds. So I'm talking about, well, okay, hold on. From the time the guy offered it to me, so I had no idea about it. From that time, the time I found out about it to the time I bought it was, I don't know, 2 minutes, a minute, to something like that. Why? It's because his stuff was frankly structured just like yours. And so this was not SEO stuff. It was some other marketing stuff. But he had the same offer, similar structure as you, where it's in a totally different industry. But he was like, hey, this is going to happen within the first 90 days, right? And then and we guarantee that. And I'm just like, well, yeah, well then, done. Yeah. And it was like that because if clearly anyone with like half a brain can listen to you and see, okay, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's guaranteeing something. Okay, well, what's the issue? You know what I mean? The only issue now, because of the trust economy, is that people have been like burnt with the. Again, I don't want to mention names, but like, you know, some of the bigger names, right? But this is not that. This is like authentic. This is like, because you don't just service people in Canada. As a matter of fact, most of your clients are in America, but do you service all over the world, or?
We service all over the world. SEO is the same. I mean, I'm not going to do some like Spanish or German website because I don't speak the language. I wouldn't do them. Right. I wouldn't do them justice trying to translate my work into their. You know, but in English speaking countries, we work.
World. Okay. Yeah. And lawyers are. I mean, they're doing the same thing all over the world, aren't they?
Yeah.
I just think it's so incredible that you have, I mean, my good God, what a beautiful, I mean, we've heard countless case studies from our guests and even our own companies, but one of the most beautiful ones is that you had that law firm, zero in ad spend. That was one, because I come from retail, like your dad was had a mechanic shop, my dad had a dollar store. And so we come from a similar world, and I grew up as a cashier there. And I know like how much goes into having one location. And so law firm is no different. And then just from your SEO, you took from like 1 to 3 sold out. I mean, that's life-changing, man. That's real. And that's not an anomaly with you, because you've helped a lot of people over the years. I mean, how does that feel? How does that make you feel?
It's nice. I mean, it's funny because when I got married a few years ago, some of my lawyers, like my clients, they had sent me a bunch of like wedding gifts and like all these nice things. And like, I remember my wife's just like, who sent you this? Like, where's this from? And I'm just like, oh, this is like my client. They're a lawyer. Like, this is from that client. This is from here. And so we have those types of relationships where it's like, oh, it's your anniversary. Like, here, I'll send you something. And then they send me something. And like, it's amazing, and yeah, sometimes you get some feedback, and you can see the change on their face even if they don't say anything to you.
Yes.
You know, like one of my, you know, that one you mentioned where they start off as like a solo practitioner. Literally within like 2 years or so, they were already on to their third, not even the second. Like I think it was like between the being a solo practitioner to like hiring staff was like a number of like months, and then to getting a second one was like several months after that, and then like close to a year after that, they opened up like a third office as well. All through SEO. You know, they don't even have a Google Ads account, and so we would just, you know, expand on their existing website, create all those location pages, write relevant like blogs, and try to get them featured into like the relevant searches. Set up the Google business profiles, optimize it with our human flow and everything else that we do, and boom, just like that, you know. And so they'll probably keep expanding at this rate.
Why is SEO better? Why is SEO the best way for law firms to get clients?
That's a great question. I'm not against other types of marketing, which is a big disclaimer, because I think diversifying your marketing efforts is very important. You know, don't fire your Google Ads guy, you know, and keep your like branding and everything going in your social media, because it's important. Like I said, even for lawyers, like you have to build trust and you have to have social media and whatnot. But SEO is by far the most important, because number one, it's usually the most consistent. And number two, you get to own the assets. You know, it's like if tomorrow your Google Ads account got disabled for whatever reason, or if, you know, your credit card got into an issue and then like you couldn't renew and you didn't catch on until later on, it's like you don't want your reliance on something temporary to be so great that if that channel were to fall and pause or something, that all of a sudden your receptionists are asking you like, why isn't the phone ringing? Like, what happened?
Yes.
You know, and so you're with Google Ads and paid media, you're just renting your business essentially. You're renting your livelihood. Whereas with SEO, you own the assets for life for the most part.
It is. I think that's a very intelligent answer. I mean, even I have a regret. It is a regret of mine that I didn't do this years ago because, yes, thank God we have done exceptionally well in the industry. We have hit the top 1% historically, but we built a very much hunt to eat marketing model, which I feel like sad just thinking about it, because if we had gotten into the SEO, you know, you get tired of hunting, man. You get tired of hunting, you know, you just like, you move on from that part of your life. And it's like the SEO, it's like, that's farming. You know, that's like you planting the trees and then you wait a little while. And now you keep bearing the fruit. You keep bearing the fruit where, like you said, ads is cool and all that. But, you know, that's hunt to eat constantly, you know, after feeding that beast. But they say the best time to, you know, plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So I think that a lot of people, I think that AI has given people a second chance with SEO. That a lot of us missed the boat. We didn't take advantage, or we worked with the wrong people. But now AI is here. We have the right guy. And so the good news is we can start seeing some significant progress and potentially clients within a matter of weeks. So that, I mean, how has that shifted from you, from your company point of view? Because it used to be, you know, like pre-AI and post-AI. I mean, how has your life changed in the SEO world?
It's made things a lot easier and a lot more efficient. You know, if you thought I was like
Is AI taking over? I actually went to a conference where this was a topic. Is AI going to be taking over lawyers?
No.
Okay.
No.
No. I'm sure lawyers will be very happy to hear that. Yeah.
Lawyers and roofers, I think, are safe. You know.
That's funny.
But I think that because I teach a lot of classes internally relating to how lawyers can utilize AI to make things better, and so. They can cut down on things like their intake times, like being more efficient with like responding to leads, automating their appointments, and all those types of things that can come in the way of utilizing AI. Because a lot of times, like, it's hard to get a proper receptionist that can do all those initial intakes and just like filter out, because lawyers, most of them don't take on every single client, especially if you're more established, right? And so they might have to take 100 phone calls before they find one client that they like. And so it's like you can use AI to cut down on a lot of that, whether it's in the way of AI receptionist, whether it's like automating that conversation back and forth, getting them to send in their IDs, or like asking them for conflict checked information. Like, so it makes lawyers more efficient. If they utilize it, they can cut down on tons of manpower. And imagine if you're charging, you know, $700 per hour, for example, and you can use AI to save you 10 hours per week. It's like, well, there's $7,000 per week back in your pocket, you know, because now you can spend time doing things that are more important and focus on your actual legal stuff as opposed to just doing more administrative work or like looking over basic papers.
Someone like you can succeed in any business. Why are you doing this? You could move on and do anything you want. You're doing this by choice. If you had to summarize in one sentence, why do you do SEO? To fill up law firms with clients?
That's a very deep question. I definitely do SEO out of love. It's something that I'm obsessed with. It's something that I really like. It's why I quit engineering. You know, it's like I could have just stayed in, like, you know, gotten some international job at a big engineering firm, or like stayed with the government. But SEO is my life at this point. It's like something that I'm always obsessed with. I'm always checking my phone and looking into the newest resources and seeing what's up.
Brings a smile to my face, man, because I can't tell you how many. It was so funny. I had my neighbor's a dentist. He's okay with me sharing this story. Really cool guy. I was at as you know, Ramadan's coming up. So this was actually last Ramadan. We were at for those of you who don't know, we were just at a community food festival, and one of the people, one of the other neighbors comes up to us, and he starts asking my dentist neighbor for, you know, talk about some dental advice. Oh, this tooth hurts. And my neighbor said something so funny. He said, Look, I'm going to be totally honest with you. My parents kind of forced me to go to dental school. I'm really not that into it. I have no interest in talking about it outside of my office. And it's it's hilarious, but it was so. Unfortunately, a lot of people, as a matter of fact, statistically speaking, the vast majority of people, they don't like what they do at all. And to hear you say that you do AI for the love of the game, I mean, it is heartwarming, and obviously that has, you can clearly see how that's transferred over into getting your clients incredible results. And these law firms are quite lucky that they're working with some, because you're right. There's a lot of these SEO kind of firms, and I know them, who, they just treat everyone as a spreadsheet. It's just another business. They have emotional detachment from it. It's just about, KPIs and costs and expenses and revenues and stuff. So, you're a rare gem in this industry, doing it for the love of the game, man. I appreciate that. I always conclude like this: if you were to share one thought with lawyers that you just wanted to summarize everything you wanted them to just know one thing, what would that be?
I would say try to get ahead of the curve and don't fall behind. You can't wait for other people to implement what you want to do. You have to be the first one to move.
Yeah. I think what's something fascinating about people like lawyers is that they hate, in other words, like lawyers want to help people, and then they, just like you see other AI SEO companies that don't really get their clients great results. Lawyers see other lawyers like, oh, dude, that guy loses so many cases. That guy, they settle way too low. And unfortunately, they're ranking above the good lawyers because the lawyers are not taking advantage of the localized AI SEO. And so I say this to the lawyers is maybe you have a decent amount of clients, but you have a talent and you care, and you're ethical, and you do a much better job. You can get your clients much more money. You can win them more cases. So you kind of have to do this AI SEO so that, because let's be honest, people go with who shows up first, who shows up in that first section. And if you're not there, you're losing a ton of business. So to help people, to use your talent, to make sure they're not getting kind of screwed over by the other lawyers, I mean, to use yourself for AI SEO in a guaranteed way, I would say is the ethical, smart thing to do. That's my conclusion. And I consider myself a talent scout. From the second we had a conversation, immediately, as you know, I'm like, okay, we're going to work together. We're going to do a bunch of stuff. I immediately got you in one of our companies that's done over $250 million. I immediately connected you with my dad's business as well. And we're going to keep going because I didn't know it, but I could tell it. And now when you said it, that connected and I felt warm. But yeah, I could sense that love of the game, which is something I've never sensed in the AI world before. So you're rare, man. I appreciate you being here. And thanks for really this heartwarming story and educating us on AI SEO in the future. And this has been a great one, man. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a good time.
I appreciate you for having me, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
It was great.